Okay, so let's get started. Do you guys want to each talk about our own classroom management strategies, or should we do it based off of some of the resources we read this week, and we could pick a few resources, a few of our readings, and then respond about them?
There's a bit of noise in the background. Is that you?
Oh, sorry.
It might be me too. Could you turn it down just a
Yeah, I can't really hear you that well because there's music or something. Is that?
There is music playing.
Okay. There's nothing you could do about that?
Nah, nothing. I was just saying, do you guys want to each take turns? Everybody take 5 to 10 minutes to talk about what are your classroom management strategies?
I mean, I feel like us throwing things out there in chunks and all of us interacting with each other would be probably better than going one at a time.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Okay. I really liked, I don't know if, I guess we haven't had to read Teach Like a Champion yet, but the NPR interview with Doug Lemoff about what a good teacher is was so interesting to me, about how it's just learned and good strategies rather than just inherently being good at it.
That was a good podcast. I actually felt like I had chosen it on my own. And it was really interesting to hear him say, to hear him remind us that this isn't something we're just naturally good at. I think just as new teachers, I don't know, it feels like we're supposed to just walk in the classroom, observe, and just catch on right away. And he reiterated that it's just a learning experience. And even that teacher of the year was, oh no, you guys didn't watch that, sorry. I saw that in one of my PDs. But we saw this interview with this teacher of the year, and she was just it's constant involvement. I can't even tell you I've perfected this, even though I'm teacher of the year, because every year I have new students, I have to redo this. It's just not a formula where you just get it.
Yeah. I think we actually all might have had the same PD this week, because I was wow, this relates so well to what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
It was the one that was also about what's a leader.
I don't think we have. Do we have that? I don't think so.
We didn't have that one. Our PD was
a lot of
evaluation.
We had a lot of teacher program-esque stuff. Not really classroom management or anything not teacher learning, more the background software kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, so I wonder if you guys will have it next week or something. I don't know.
My one-on-one though was she focused a lot on classroom management. I don't know if that was on purpose. I don't know if she knew that that's what was going on, but she did mention a lot of stuff about the way she runs a classroom, and this whole don't smile until December thing, which she doesn't follow. She just says she's that's a rule of thumb that people always tell new teachers, but she's unless you're just a mean person, you can't really do that. But you have to set a level of just strict boundaries and how the foundation of the classroom, what's allowed and what's not. So she's she is a little bit meaner the first couple weeks, because she mentioned last year she didn't get the class to where she wanted it until March, because they were just not, because she was looser in the beginning. So if you don't get that tight in the beginning, it's going to be hard to try to go back later on. But based off the reading, I saw one thing that I saw that our school does a lot with the advisory. It's it mentioned knowing, I'm reading it off right now, that's why I'm looking at the screen.
Yeah.
Knows her students' strengths, weaknesses, and any problems that may prevent them from learning. Contacts parents on a regular basis and makes home visits in order to gain a better understanding and appreciation of the situation. And I thought that hit the nail on the head with what they're doing with advisory. I don't do it myself, but I do know that they mentioned that that's kind of the point. It's get into the detail of what's going on academically, what's going on if you just not meeting some quota. But you guys do advisory, so you could.
It's not even. I mean, most of the time in advisory, we're not really doing academics, like academic gauging yet. We've just been really like just getting to know them. Like on Monday, we just did like literally just like picking questions out of a hat and like answering them. Just like, what's your favorite movie or something like that. Like just like really like just talking, like getting to know everybody. Like it's not even like necessarily always just getting to know them on an academic level, but it's deeper than that. It's just like getting to know them as a person.
Yeah, that's definitely important too. She did mention a lot about, my mentor mentioned about the building relationships is extremely important with the tougher kids because they're going to give you a harder time.
Yeah.
And if you do not build that relationship and you're in the school with them, let's say another year or two, they're always going to be like, yeah, I don't like this person though. I don't want to be in their class. And if they're in your class, they're going to just give you like the hardest time all year. So they're with me. She's already giving me warnings like, you know, this person is this way and this person is that way. So tips on how to approach, because some kids, like, I can't go to them.
My mentor teacher did the same thing.
Yeah, because I would approach one kid and I was persistent about him, like, picking his head up. And she was like, if you go one more time, he's going to, like, explode. So, approach with caution. But
yeah, that's what happened with that girl that I said I interacted with. That was one student that he really didn't warn me about, but like I learned very quickly, and then he was like, "Yeah, that's probably the one student." Like literally, if you said the same thing that you said to her to anybody else in the class, they would have listened to you. It's just
it's just that particular person. Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed too that there's like a whole spectrum of students who you really have to remember to build a positive relationship with, because there's the kids. We also have a few kids who are like very oppositional, and they have IEPs for that. So it's like built in that we have to establish trust with them. But there are also a few of our kids who have a lot of anxiety, and some of them like were previously homeschooled, and so they need like praise and they need a positive relationship with their teachers, so that if you do have to like correct them or like give them critical feedback, that it doesn't like completely like blow their self-esteem. Because we've like had some kids who like if they forgot their homework and they have to stay for lunch, just like tears, and it ruins their whole day. And we want to get to a point where they trust that like we don't think badly of them because they got their homework, and we're just trying to help them, and it shouldn't have to ruin their whole day. So I'm trying really hard to like also give those kids a little bit extra, like, you know, talking to them in the hallway and like saying hello and goodbye every day, and getting to know them so that they don't feel like they're a bad kid.
So you guys give them like detention if they don't do their homework?
It's not called detention. It's called mandatory office hours. So it means that during lunch they come to a classroom and they eat their lunch in there, and then they complete that homework assignment. So the way that we frame it to them is like, this is just an extra time to get your homework done, and it's not a punishment. It's just so that you can keep up with the class. But we're working really hard to frame it that way, because based on where they're coming from at other schools, they are like beating themselves up over it. You know, they have so much anxiety.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a student that I think I was telling Lorraine this, that I was correcting his work. He was doing the work and he was doing it well. And I went over his shoulder and I was like, nice job on like what he wrote. And he just like shut down. He slapped his notebook closed and like put his head down, basically like, leave me alone. And I was confused because I was like, but I'm complimenting you. Like, I'm telling you this was good. But then I learned like this student does not take like praise that way, you know, like he needs to be told just like on the side, like, nice job.
Which grade do you have, Darlene?
I'm sorry?
Which grade is that?
He's in 12th grade.
Okay.
Yeah. And he just, it's something that like I'm learning, like even when it comes to something positive, like even when you're giving someone praise, it's like you have to understand that not everyone's gonna, like, some people feel like it's embarrassing for you to put them on the spot that way. So it's just a lot of relationship building and getting to know who they are.
Going off the reading we had from Steinhardt, the culturally responsive, I actually, like, number 3 was about awareness of the broader social, economic, and political context. And it said something like children of color sometimes are seen as disrespectful when they are not being disrespectful at all in their culture. And this like really hit like this week's entire theme for me and my students. Like I'm trying to build these positive relationships with them. I do 8th grade. So in our class, there are in the entire middle school right now, we actually, during PD, they brought up the data about which children get the most conduct cuts. And obviously first of all, they were all boys. And then second of all, they were all boys of color. So they're the 5 boys that I personally get along with the most. And yeah, it's so funny. And it's just because I don't see what they do as a problem. Like if they shout each other out in class, I see that as like affirming each other. Like I don't see it like he's calling across the room, like he's disturbing the peace. Like, no, you're just like affirming your classmate. And we do a lot of hand signals and all that. And that's cool. I mean, like if it fits that student, then use it. And I feel like it does work well in the middle school. But there are some kids that want more, or like that don't feel like they're giving each other props with just like a hand gesture. Like they feel like they need to call each other out. Like that's one thing. Another thing is like just being able to move around. So in the lunchroom, I choose a table each day with who I sit with. And there's this one kid, his name is Nizar, and I don't know, like he loves me. So like whatever group I go to, he'll follow me. And a lot of teachers have already told me like he needs to stay at his table. And I'm just like, he like really it's lunch first.
It's lunch.
They have assigned tables at lunch?
No, but like that's what I'm saying. That's part of the problem. Like you're picking and you're singling him out because
why can't he sit with you?
Yeah. So
I wish that high schoolers wanted to sit with teachers.
I'm so curious because since all of our students have never been in Brooklyn Prospect before, like they use the hand signals so much, they love it. They're like, this is so cool. Like if somebody raises their hand to talk and they get nervous, they give them the props. Like
really?
All the
we
time.
do this, yeah.
They don't ever do that.
I mean, we don't do it in high school, but I see
that's what I mean. As teachers, we do it, but the students never do that.
They just live it
like my mentor teacher does that all the time, and the students always give him like weird looks whenever he does it.
Yeah, same. My mentor, she'll do the same thing, and then nobody. Yeah, nobody.
In high school, it's just corny though. Like, why are you gonna be doing this or like doing this? Like, I don't want to do that in high school.
Yeah, like in high school, they all act like they're like too cool for everybody else. It's
like me as an adult, like I know I like it, and there's been times like, I was talking to my friend before this, and she was just saying something that was like, I like it out of context of the Brooklyn Prospect like sign language system. So yeah, I'm like, I was wondering, but I can definitely picture high schoolers being like, that is lame.
Yeah, I mean, I even have like kids like constantly, I think almost every day I get asked at least once or twice, like, what's the point of this? Why are we doing this? Like in high school, I think it's different. They're more like, they feel like everything needs to have like, it's instant gratification. Like if I'm doing this, I need to know why, what I'm going to do with it. And every day they ask me, can I throw this out now? Can I throw this out now? Like I feel like it's hard to get them engaged, but then I feel like that has a lot to do with the content and the way it's presented. I feel like not every student is always taken into consideration. Like they talk a lot about differentiation and about, you have to make sure everybody's being represented in the way you teach the lesson, but I find that is lacking in the classes I'm in. I think when they use examples, some students don't get it and they don't ever modify it, because I see 2 classes like the same lesson taught twice throughout the day, and I see that first class did not get it. The example just didn't make sense to them. It was supposed to be a joke. It wasn't funny. Then I don't know if the teacher saw it or not. I mean, I think it was pretty clear, but he did it again the second time and didn't change anything. And I just feel like it's 2 lines. Mr. Rook.
Is that your mentor teacher?
He's the tall.
That you got,
yeah, I'm like subbing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's like that one's a weird situation. But yeah, I'm
subbing in gym, so
we're all doing something.
That's I don't even want to tell. That's a nightmare. Let's just read it.
Yeah, I just wish there was more of differentiation and a part of, like, to accommodate everyone, you know.
Are you talking about like a cultural differentiation?
Yeah.
Almost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because, like, the joke, I mean, I didn't even think it was funny myself, and I think that's just because I'm also like, that's just not, it's not something I ever grew up. It's just not, it
What
didn't
was
make
the
sense.
joke?
So it's about, it was a pun. It's supposed to be a pun, and it says, one guy says the peasants are revolting, and the other guy goes, yes, yes they are. So, like, the joke is revolting is like rebelling, and it's also gross. So one guy, like the first guy, is kind of like, oh hey, they're rebelling, and then the other guy's like, yeah, they're pretty gross, aren't they? That's not fun. I don't know. I
That's
don't
not
think that's funny. I don't.
so
And
stupid.
he was
And like
so
you can do
into
so
it.
much with pun lessons.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I don't
Thank you.
think that is not funny at all.
And everyone was just
my
everyone
teacher
told
told a really corny pun too, but he was expecting them to just like face palm over it.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
No, this guy really was like, this is like, you're gonna love this. Like, when he first showed it to me, when we were going over the lesson, he looked at me like waiting for my response, and I'm just like, this is really cringe. Like, I don't know what to do. But
So
I mean,
he's having trouble like connecting with the students then, because he doesn't even realize what their humor is.
yeah, I think so, because that's not the only time that happened. Like, there's plenty of times when he could present something. I think it's such a small difference. Like, it's two lines you could have changed to make all the difference in the way you present this pun. Like, now everyone's like, their homework is to find a pun in the street. No one wants to do it. They're just like, this is stupid, you know. But it's like, maybe if you present it in a way that they can see it every day, they might want to do it. Like, yeah, this is cool. This is all around me, you know.
Because also, like, there's so much pun in like so much pun. So there are so many puns in like music lyrics
Exactly.
all the time, and if he explained it that way, I bet you every kid would be like, "Oh my gosh, this song just goes."
I'm with you all the way.
They will so start using that.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree though.
Do you think that the students in that class like don't respect him as part of like he doesn't understand them or he doesn't try to?
I think a lot of them, they respect him as a teacher, as like they don't give him a hard time really, but I do think that they feel very disconnected, and they feel like the stuff he does is not engaging at all. And a lot of times, even when they have really good answers, they don't say it because I feel like they're like, okay, this is like not right because it's not what he's into. It's not what he's looking for. Like there was an example. They had to look at a picture and everyone had to like write about what they saw in the picture. It looked like a broken ship kind of. And one girl, the only one I saw that wrote this, she wrote, it looks like a slave ship to her. And I thought that would have been a great answer for her to share. But like everyone else just was like, yeah, it's a ship. It's a broken ship. It reminds of Titanic, stuff like that. And I'm like, he has to understand, like, to this girl, she's not seeing what everyone else is seeing. And I think that's important and it's something to highlight. And he did not run with it. And I was just like,
where that she said that?
No, like he walked around and I saw that he looked over her shoulder. But
wow.
Because he does that. He just reads, making sure people are actually getting an assignment.
Like, I don't know.
I just feel like you could have took that so, like, I don't know. It could have made the lesson more meaningful.
Yeah.
Oh, well, look at what somebody else is seeing, like something totally different. But it didn't go that way at all. And that made me sad.
Are you still in that class or no?
Yes, they had an interview and it was canceled. So that broke my heart because that means I'm there longer.
What class is that?
It's a chain reaction because you being there means that I have to be in PE.
I know, I'm so sorry.
The sooner that your position gets filled, the sooner that my position gets filled.
I know. Basically, it's a 12th grade SL English class.
You're in period 2, right? In that?
No, that's 4 and 8.
Oh, okay.
He has a period 2 class though. But yeah, I'm supposed to be in the period 2 though, and he's taking my place there. Yeah, it is a chain reaction.
Because I'm in gym because the person that's in gym is supposed to be in English, but is in English during the period that I'm in gym, but all the other periods, the ones that you're in English, that person's in gym.
Yeah, that's what they told me.
So what kind of classes is it? It's a ESL class?
No, it's the lower level English class, like a 12th grade class. So most of them, I think way more than half of them have IEPs. They are all of them. I'm pretty sure in one class there is a white student, but in the majority of them are students of color. And yeah, it's just, I think that's something you have to take into consideration. Like, you have the data in front of you, do something with it.
Mm-hmm.
And like present stories that are relevant to their histories and that they're going to be learning more about like where they've come from, because like obviously they're interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So also, I'm sorry, did you want to talk, Mary?
Yeah, I was
go ahead.
Just going off of that, we're reading The Outsiders, and I don't know if you guys have read The Outsiders.
Yeah. Okay. I read it when I was in like 7th grade or something.
Yeah, we're reading it now in 8th grade, and it's basically about like these two groups in the 60s. But the way my teacher mentor presented it was something that stuck out to all the students. Like, first of all, he gave them like historical context. He took them to the 60s, like MLK was happening, Malcolm, like all these things that were going on. And then the rise of the teenager, Elvis Presley, like he just went in, Twiggy, like everything. And it just like bought them in. So like I was speaking to some of my students of color in the lunchroom, and they said the same thing. They said like last year we were presented with like The Giver, but there was no context that we could relate to. So we couldn't get into it because I kept telling them The Giver is a great book. And they were like, it was, but like we couldn't get into it. So when he first gave me The Outsiders in the summer, I started reading it and I just couldn't get into it. And they're so right. The minute I went into the lesson and I saw what he was doing, like giving them the historical context first and like relating it to their lives as teenagers, I got into the book, and so did the kids. It's like all about like doing those types of things, like tweaking it and like presenting it in a way that's gonna like make them have like those text to self connections, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because when you told me about that, darling, I thought the same thing that you're saying.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's so important. And that's important, I think, in like when we were one of the articles, I think it's like lead students, don't just manage them. I think that's where that lies. It's like, you need to understand you are running this, you are running the show right now. And to be a leader, I think that you need to take into consideration who's in front of you. It's not just managing a lesson, like just any lesson, like, okay, we're going to do punts, so it's going to be done like the most generic way, whatever I feel works. It's like, you need to learn from what's happening in front of you. Like, you did it 4th period, you saw that they didn't react. You had until 8th period to just find 2 lines to replace that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a big change for you, but it's everything to them.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's an experienced teacher, so I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like also something that we haven't really talked about yet, but I feel like it's such an important thing. It was even mentioned in the readings a couple of times. And I've seen like really be an important factor in just teaching in general is teamwork. And I mean, I feel like I've been seeing a lot of like just even small things like turn-in talks or like group work, just like doing like assignments together. And I mean, I feel like that's like where a lot of like the real learning takes place, not just like when the teacher is saying something and the student's like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. That's my classroom is like heavily based on the Harkness discussion. Basically, we spent 20 minutes of the class they have like 3 groups in just those discussions. So we observe, like we track what they say, and there's like this whole crazy sheet to do it. But it's something that we're pushing them to do more and more, so that when we break into the unit, because we haven't even started it yet, they're more comfortable with it. But I see that they do push themselves more that way, and they do learn more in those ways. Like, it is way better than the teacher talking, because the teacher is going to say what she knows, and sometimes it doesn't resonate with them. When you have other students explaining it to you, it's like on your level, kind of, like you understand it. But I love the group work. I love the talking.
And it's especially interesting for me because I'm in math, and I learned math in high school. I don't really remember very much group work, if ever, really. Like,
how do you do group work?
In high school, when I was in math, all that it was literally was coming in, the teacher doing things, and then like some questions we like she would do things usually on the board, and then like we would like participate in like the sense that we would like kind of, she would be like guiding us and we'd raise our hands and go through questions, whatever. Mm-hmm. But like we've been doing a lot in my classroom of like, here's some math concept, now here's some sort of class worksheet, work together as a group and figure out how to do this. And it's just like, of course they have the option to, if they're completely stuck, raise their hand and have some sort of help. And usually we're helping like the people either, usually the actual teacher is helping like the IEP students kind of keep up. And I'm usually pushing, and he usually has me for now pushing the like higher level students to do more challenging things. But just overall, just the concept of them working as teams, I just feel like is more, not only is it going to help them learn better, but I just feel like it's more effective for just real world. Like, because in the real world, you're not going to be sitting there without a calculator by yourself doing math problems, because that's just not how the real world works.
No, it's so true. Group work has been really challenging for our sixth graders. They're all like,
yeah.
We had this challenge really that was like, they have to, the same challenge that we did actually, where we built that structure out of marshmallows. But like, obviously it took a really long time because they were wet.
Yeah.
so like they had to go home and like draw up designs and then come in and decide. And some groups were okay, but there were a lot of groups where like certain kids would be like, but my design is the best and we should just do mine, and they couldn't compromise. So that was a diagnostic for us, because we're like, wow, we really need to talk about like speaking respectfully towards each other and like how students can get the best out of group work. And it was kind of adorable, because I was like, you guys like are just so strong with your idea, like just really want your idea work. But also I was like, wow, I forgot that you have to learn how to do that.
Why does it say that the meeting is going to end in 7 minutes?
So the way that the Zoom accounts work is that you can only have like a 45-minute meeting for free. So what we can do is end in a few minutes, and then I'll send another one and we can talk for another like 10 minutes.
But how are we going to submit it as one recording?
I'll just upload 2 separate ones. We've done it before.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay.
But yeah, so that was interesting to me, like, because group work is essential in science, for school and for a career in science. And so I'm like, oh man, I have to teach them how to do it without butting heads and new ideas.
Yeah.
How's your classroom set up?
So we have tables of 4. We have 6 tables of 4, and then we have 2 back and 2 green back. So we have 7 total. And it's hilarious also because they're on stools, because the tables are so high and they cannot handle that. Like every day I just see a kid just like fall off. Like,
in 8th grade, it's the same thing. Like, I've walked by the science lab, that's what I'm asking you, and they cannot handle stools, like, at all.
Like, so we're actually gonna move our room, because we're like, this does not work, because there's 2 science rooms, because we're only 1 grade so far, we're really small. So we're gonna move to the other room because the tables are lower down. They're like actually they're like attached to the floor, so the kids can't like access the table. It's just like safety wise, like we haven't done anything in class or anything yet. What do we do? I don't let these kids like falling off their stool.
Can you talk closer to the mic? We can't really hear you that well.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, for safety reasons, I really want to move the rooms, because when we're doing stuff with like glassware, I don't want these kids like fooling around or like something breaking and it becomes unsafe. So I think we're gonna switch. But yeah, having these huge desks has definitely been a challenge to like managing our classroom, because we do like to circulate and walk around, and it's kind of hard sometimes to squeeze by all the tables. And students, of course, leave their backpacks everywhere. So we've been trying to enforce like, put your backpack under your desk when you come in, and make it easier for us to circulate. So yeah, there's definitely physical constraints to how well you can manage your class.
Yeah. Another thing that I've really noticed, and I don't know about you guys, but we don't, in my classroom, we do not do assigned seating at all. They're free to sit wherever they want. And I've noticed that with that comes a lot of segregation in lots of ways. There's a lot of gender segregation. There's a lot of level segregation, like the higher level students will sit together, the lower level students will sit together. There's a lot of race segregation. Just like across the map, there's a lot of different ways that they kind of segregate. And I guess that just goes to show that like they just naturally, like, I don't even know if you could say that it's human nature. I don't know. Maybe it's just society. I have no idea, but it's just something that I just found interesting. What?
That's 8th grade?
No, it's 10th grade.
Oh, that's right. You're in the
Yeah, I'm in high school.
10th grade and you don't have assigned seats?
No, we don't do assigned seats at all.
That's brave.
I mean, I think it goes back to like that idea where some teachers really want to like trust their students. Like, I mean, that's kind of what my teacher mentor does. Like, he's all about like trust and freedom. Like, I expect you to do this, but then those problems do come. The ones you mentioned, Matthew. And I do think it's kind of like human nature. Even like in PDs, I watch us segregate, and it's like really sad.
Yeah. That is true. Yes.
Expect our students not to segregate in the lunchroom, and we're in PD, like literally 5 of us are literally the only 5 women of color. We sit together in the same table, and then there's one guy of color, and he sits with like, he'll pick like, okay, I'll sit with my teacher mentor, which is the basketball coach, and like it's just like so weird.
Yeah.
So I kind of do think it's like human nature.
And even if you remember back to day one of the PDs, like they even had us like intentionally segregating. Like, this is the math section, this is the like PE section, this is the English section.
Yeah. I mean,
like, I just feel like it's like in like our nature or like in like our society, just to say like we have to sit
like
what we're used to being with, and we have to sit with
Yeah. I think I've sort of had like this conversation with Darlin. Like, it's like kind of sad because Brooklyn Prospect is literally like one of the only real integrated schools in New York City, like truly. But there are so many problems that us, like the adults, are refusing to talk about. We had a PD literally to like just go over data, and it ended on like the saddest note because it was basically like, I'm like trying to get it right now, but I can't find it. Like, the Black and brown students are all the way on the bottom for both English and math, and no one wanted to talk about it. It was just like everyone was completely silent, and it's like really sad.
So,
I just sent a new link for the new meeting because this one's going to end soon. So maybe I'll leave this one, join the new one, and then pick up where we left off.
Okay. So we're going to stop here.